Did you turn this on? Okay. Okay, we're going to get started in a timely manner. Good morning, and we're going to invite the students to come in and welcome them as they come in. So stand up and... You may be seated, like I'm in church. Well, it is an honor and a pleasure to have you all here today. I wanted to welcome you. My name is Barbara Kitko. I am the BSSW program director, and this is the first time I've had to be in this role, so this is new for me. I wanted to welcome all of our graduates. We are streaming this, so our online audience as well, want to welcome them, and all of the family and friends that are here today. What we want to do as a faculty is recognize those who supported all of our students over the years that they've been in our program and in higher ed. So what I'd like you students to do is turn around and acknowledge those who have supported you in this process. Great. Because we know that the people who are behind our students are the ones who are supporting them emotionally, financially maybe, and that they're the ones who are wiping the tears, reading papers, and celebrating successes like today. As you look in your program, you will see this pinning ceremony is in honor of Dr. Myrna Haga, who was in our department for 40 years. She retired in 2011. We have a hooding ceremony for the MSW students, and she thought, why not have a ceremony for students? So she decided to forge forward with that and begin a pending ceremony for our students. So this ceremony is in honor of her. As our social work profession calls us to be able to deal with uncertainty and ambiguity, we today we'll be doing that. We've had some changes within our program. Dr. Karen Lee Barkdahl, our chair, was unexpectedly called out of town to help work on a grant that's due like next week or shortly here. So she is unable to be here, but what I know Dr. Barkdahl would want to share with you all is how important that macro level practice is. She's our macro person. She practiced macro level social work, so she would be talking about how important it is to be activists and to be the voice for not just the vulnerable and oppressed, but for all. So she would be sharing her wisdom and her knowledge around that area. Unfortunately, she isn't here, and I know she really, it's really an honor for her to participate in these, in this recognition of our students. So. Our faculty speaker, unfortunately, at the last minute, had a family obligation and couldn't attend today. So Angie Muse has gracefully agreed to step in and present step in and talk to you guys, share some of her words of wisdom. And so I'm going to have Angie come up and speak with you.
Hello, everybody out in cyberspace. And the mic is at the perfect height, so 2 for 2 so far. But my name is Angie Muse, and I'm one of the faculty here at in the Department of Social Work at UND. And when Barb asked me to speak, I was like, okay, I can do this. I talk about in class that I'm more type B, so I can usually kind of roll with it a little bit. I don't need to be too focused. But when it comes to a formal, the ability to talk formally, all right, I need to be a little more type A for this. So I got a little bit nervous, got a little bit excited, and I'm really looking forward to just sharing a few minutes of some thoughts as you head out into the world. I want to say thank you to all of the people who made the trek here today. We are incredibly proud of the students and incredibly proud of the last several years that you've put into the social work program and into your hard work doing projects and projects and projects and papers and exams. And so thank you for your hard work. And we really want to extend a welcome to all of your friends and family that came here today to really celebrate you and the accomplishments that you have achieved. So it's a pretty exciting day, and we really are happy to be here with you. I do have some urges to talk about formal endings, maybe how we could do a quick circle of fun, but there's also a chance we won't do that. So we'll avoid a role play at all costs if we have to. But I did contemplate several topics. What should we talk about? What should we talk about? And I went back to be totally honest and transparent, and I looked at a few past speeches, and I did blend a few together and take a few highlights from here or there, kind of last minute, and to be able to talk about with some of the things that I felt was important from then and then from now. At that time, a couple years ago, which is when I had one of the speeches that I was able to present to you all, I had written down some ideas then too. What should I talk about? What will be important? What would be some good final words as you head on out into either the workforce? I know some of you are coming back to grad school with us, which is great. And I had gone home at that time, which is Langdon, and I'd gone home to spend some time with my dad and spend some time with my grandma. And I had found a sign at a coffee shop. And the sign had said, believe there is good in the world. And in gold, pretty letters, be the good is what stuck out. Okay? It was intentional, okay? But in the words, believe there is good in the world, be the good is what stuck out in this sign. And I started thinking, how can we wholeheartedly believe that there is good in the world and wholeheartedly be the good? Okay, and I think that's a huge task to even think about. How can we do this? And that sign really resonated with me. In fact, I bought it, and it's in my office, because we only have to turn on the TV to see the not-so-good things that are happening. When we turn on the TV, we see that poverty is exploding. The middle class is shrinking. Politics have divided people who were once best friends and now are stuck on, are you a Democrat or Republican? Okay, versus are you human? Fear divides us. We become a little bit more intolerant of people or situations or beliefs that we do not know or that we do not understand. We are scared by terrorism or idea of terrorism. There's a lot of uncertainty in healthcare, layoffs, especially around holiday seasons. Domestic violence is prevalent. Addiction is rampant. There's attacks on basic human rights. And so how can we see the good in the world when we're surrounded by all of these things that are very scary and can be considered not so good? And at the same time, we are surrounded by good. Okay, we are surrounded by those behind you all. Okay, we're surrounded by the generous acts of kindness the generosity from students, from your family, from your friends, from strangers. And that's where we are going to, or what we're going to talk about even more, is how to be the good. We could take some time to talk to you about how you all, in the front row, as trained generalist social workers, will tackle these issues that seem impossible. We could address how you'll use your micro, your meso, your macro skills to work with individuals, families, groups, situations, systems. We could talk about the code of ethics. We could talk about how you will come across ethical dilemmas, probably on a daily basis, and how you could use the code of ethics to deal with those. We could talk about all of those areas and more, but I won't anymore. Okay. I want to talk to you about that sign. Believe there's good in the world and be the good. And I want to talk about what that meant to me and why it really resonated with me. When I did read that sign originally, I thought of my grandma. My grandma and I are very close. She turned 90 in September. So we just had an amazing, beautiful celebration for her. She's taught me a lot about life and what it means to be the good and to do good for others. She was born, my grandma Joyce was born in 1928, and she's witnessed so many things that I cannot even imagine. She's lived through the Great Depression. She lived through her future husband being sent off to World War II for a couple years. I believe when we've talked about it before, she said, he left and I wasn't yet even wet behind the ears. And I was like, I'm not sure what that meant, okay? But so we had to talk more about that. She's lived through cancer, many deaths and losses in her life, droughts, flooded farmland, winter storm. I believe it was a storm of 78. Help me out if you're from the area. 78 talks about how it completely covered their one-story home. And how they had to wait for neighbors to get them out. They could not open their doors. The thing about Grandma, though, is when she talks about these situations that are pretty intense and very serious, is she talks about them very candidly, she talks about them openly, and always follows them up by saying, but then this person did this. But then they shoveled us out. And then we went sledding, okay? And she was seeing the good. And those of you, which is all of you, who were in class, she was reframing the B. Okay, do you remember that part? Okay? CBT, she was reframing her B. And so she was reframing the belief system from it's all bad to seeing the good and being the good. My grandma and I have spent many hours laughing, crying, reminiscing, and enjoying each other's company. She has struggled the last few years on and off medically, but still finds the good in the not-so-good situations. She has used her gifts throughout her life to be the good for others, whether it's giving us lefsa. Every year she provides a lot of raspberry jam. My 10-year-old daughter waits anxiously for the raspberries to come in and helps Grandma make that. She uses her gifts to be the good. You all have your own set of gifts to use. And you know what those are, and they will continue to grow, and they will continue to develop. And sometimes they'll show up when you're not even expecting it. My grandma had an impact on my own calling to the field of social work. When people decide to be a social worker, we often hear, especially when we're reading through applications, that I chose social work because I want to help others. Okay? I don't really know what I want to do. I want to be a helper. I want to help other people. This is your desire to be the good. This is you being the good. Whatever the reason that brought you to this place, you were meant to be here. Somebody, something, a situation called you to social work, to be that professional helper, to be that person who will be the helper to somebody else. Okay, the shoulder to lean on, the ear to listen to, and the person to give a big hug to, or a high five, or a jar jam. You are not simply called to do the work, you are called to be the work. So over the past few years, I've had the privilege to work with all of you and have witnessed goodness in this generation of social workers. I've seen your eyes light up when you've learned a new skill and you've practiced those skills in your circles of fun. I've heard the kindness in your words and when you're encouraging other students, especially when students open up and talk about their own issues, whether it be their own mental health, depression and anxiety, relationship changes, or the death of someone that they love. I've witnessed compassion for other people outside of our classrooms. I've observed your generosity with this group, with raising money for others who are in need, donating your time, your own baked goods, working at the warm clothes drive, having bake sales, and deciding as a class, who can we give this to? How can we be the good in somebody's world? Whether that's a check for $100 or whether it's a warm jacket on a cold day. I've been incredibly impressed with the courage and the consideration that you've shown when in classrooms, and I've heard this from your other faculty, when you talk about topics that are hard to talk about. And as faculty, we try to push you to talk about those topics in a way that's kind and in a way that's accepting and tolerant and in a way that makes very uncomfortable conversations a little bit more comfortable. And you've done that with grace. I've been honored to witness your tolerance of others when it relates to diversity, policy, politics, and when exploring our own personal values, our own belief systems, faith, spirituality, figuring out who we are, and being able to witness everyone being able to have safe conversations. And what's even more exciting is watching each other say, wow, tell me more about that. That's really cool, teach me. I've been moved to tears at our potluck days when I hear you saying such kind things to each other and kind things to myself. And watching the class grow from a couple people know each other here and there to a cohort that's close and that's connected and that would be the good and do the good for each other. You see, I believe you are the good in the world. I believe in you. It doesn't mean you're perfect or that you need to be. It doesn't mean you have all the answers or will ever have hardly any. We don't know a lot more than we know, every one of us. It does not mean you will not make mistakes and you won't stumble, because you will. It simply means that we must try. We must try. We must try to be the good. We must fight for others, whoever those people are. We must push for answers. We will cry. We need to ask for help. And we need to do it with courage, compassion, kindness, and with a genuine heart. Those 4 words, in my opinion, describe my grandma. Courageous, compassionate, kind, and genuine. Graham and I don't see each other quite as often as we would like to. Life gets busy, and I need to go home more. We need to see each other more. But the strength and the resiliency of that woman is amazing. Despite struggles, she sees good in people. Despite medical setbacks, she continues to be the good. She acts in a way that is kind and caring. Her hands are beautifully scarred and beautifully aged and continue to provide love and goodness and lefsa to other people. So look at your own hands. And what will your hands do when you leave here today? How will your hands help to see the good in the world and help to be the good? How will you find good even when it seems somewhat impossible? To the new graduates, I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that saying, believe there is good in the world, and highlight the letters be the good. I believe there is good in the world because I get to see it every single day in each one of you. To the class of 2018, may your hands work hard, your heart filled with kindness, courage, and compassion, and may you always find and always see the good in others and the good in yourselves. Congratulations.
Thanks, Angie. Wow. Every cohort gets to nominate or choose a fellow student to come up and share some of their wisdom. And so the student that this cohort has chosen is Elizabeth Meyer.
Thank you. I promised my family I wouldn't cry, so we'll see if I can hold to that, but I do have my tissue just in case I break down, but just to let you know, it's a normal part of me, it's who I am. So I just want to say a good morning to the UND faculty, staff, all of our friends and family, and also to my fellow students. I am honored to stand before you today and serve as a mouthpiece for our graduating class. I honestly didn't feel it would be appropriate for me to stand up here and just spout out what I believe would be words of wisdom, but I wanted to incorporate all of our words and be able to share them all with you today. As I look at you guys, I see the bright futures that you have in front of you, and I'm so incredibly excited to watch you guys grow over the next few years. As we entered the social work program, we all did it for so many different reasons. Maybe it was because of life experiences that we've had along the way. Maybe it's because we felt as though it was a calling and we've been called to serve our fellow man. Or maybe it's because we didn't know what the heck we wanted to do with our lives. So we took this intro to social work class and we thought, okay, you know what? This is it. This is what I'm going to do. These differences, honestly, is thankfully what makes us all unique. It was through our field placements that we were able to take all of the lessons from our classroom and start to put it in action. We had the opportunities to gain very rich experiences over the past few months, and we've had the opportunity to teach one another. It has been such an incredible past few months to learn from one of you guys, from all of you. I learned so much from Jenna Thurston and her experience of working with victims and families at the DA office, and the compassion and grace that one must have in order to deal with that population. I also learned so much from Darcy with working with new Americans and teaching us the process of them coming into our country and everything she's experienced with working with Lutheran Social Services. Well, you'll never, ever, ever hear me say that I was so thankful that I got to work for free. You will always hear me say how grateful I was for this rich learning opportunity to be part of my education. Regardless of the reasons why we are choosing social work as a profession, we need to remember that it's going to take a great deal of patience, empathy, kindness, respect, and love. This profession is best summed up by Jess, who stated that as a social worker, we will be the beacon of light in someone's darkness. And Gabby by stating, do small things with great love. These statements are mottos one can live by. My first encounter with a social worker was a woman named Nancy. She displayed these same great qualities. I met her when I was a very scared and pregnant 16-year-old girl who needed guidance. My mom set an appointment with me with Lutheran Family Services so that I could be guided into looking at all of my options of whether or not to keep my baby girl or bless her with a family that would love and cherish her, and most importantly, be able to give her the stability that she needed through life. Nancy rolled with the flow. Oh man, she let me rage when I needed to rage. And she held me when I cried and I felt so defeated and so hopeless. She allowed me to feel all of my emotions without any ridicule or any judgment. She was the beacon of light in my darkness. And Nancy did do small things with great love. Nancy sat for hours in the hospital chair when I could not bear the thought of letting my baby girl go. And she sat with me for months in her office as I grieved. And then she sat with me and celebrated with me in the pew of my church when I got married. Nancy saw the light that was within me. She did not see the darkness that surrounded me. Nancy remained a constant encouragement in my life until I was able to see the beauty from within myself again. Once I was able to light and navigate the path by myself. This is my story, and this is my why. I will strive to be like Nancy, to help someone who is surrounded by darkness be able to see the light that is within them. As I found my why, the next phase to come would be my how. I must say, if it wasn't from the love and support from my husband and my family, especially my children, who cheered me on all along the way, I probably would not be standing here today. It was only a few short years a few of us were sitting in the intro to social work class, and me, being a lot older than average transfer student, my anxiety was pretty high as I walked through the doors of this university. But I had a dream of helping people, and that dream was so much stronger than any amount of fear that I had. This vision of helping people and showing kindness and encouragement to everybody that I encountered would be something that I knew I could do. A quote from Cinderella, which states, "Have courage and be kind," sums that up perfectly. This is a motto I can stand by, and it is one that I will live throughout my life. Luckily, I was graced with very, very, very warm, welcome faces in each of my classes. And thankfully, a few of those friendly faces would develop into very close friendships. Brenna's advice to our class serves perfect in her example, as her quote comes from Brene Brown, which reads, "We don't have to do all of it alone. We were never meant to." Brenna, Gabby, and Mila were my constant companions over the past 2 years, as we ended up taking several additional classes together while earning our minors in chemical dependency. These amazing women put these words into action by showing me that I wasn't in it alone, and together we encouraged one another all along the way. Overcoming my anxiety was just the first of obstacles that I would face, with the next obstacles being statistics, research, and policy. I can't tell you how many nights I stayed up until 2 a.m., maybe even 3, finishing up a paper, or studying for a test, or praying to God that those statistic formulas would be cemented in my brain before my exam. That sums up Mila's thoughts perfectly of, it always seems impossible until it's done. I had to continually coach myself and remind myself of my reason why I was here and daydream of my future to get me through each assignment. Kayla's inspiration of the best is yet to come were similar thoughts of encouragement I would give myself at that time. But so does Courtney's advice, which is a quote from Dr. Maya Angelou, which reads, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated." Looking back at the difficult classes or life experiences we've had over the past few years shows us the determination that we each hold within ourselves. While there were hard classes and events that we overcame, there were also some really good memories that we made too, like class potlucks, most specifically Marat's rice. There was amazing volunteer opportunities that we had with the Social Work Club, which was the Winter Warm-Up Project, the Empty Bowl Project, UND's annual big event, where we help community members with cleanup projects, which is where I first met Megan, who was the club's president at the time. She always has displayed an enormous amount of professionalism and grace and kindness. And then there was recently the baby of the group, Lorraine's 21st birthday. She gave us an excuse to celebrate and get together outside of class to enjoy one another's company. While these are some highlights we shared together, I am sure you'll be able to reminisce and smile at all of the memories that you've made here at UND. My fellow classmates, as we move forward to the next phase of our lives, may we strive not to be hardened by life or become numb to the needs of our clients. May we always strive to be like Nancy, full of empathy and being able to see the light within somebody. And we strive to live up to Marat's advice to our class, which is, be the change we want to see in the world, and that action starts today. May we also be like Taylor, who is always sweet and smiling and gracious and kind to people she encounters. May we remember our times at UND and the hard obstacles we've overcome and be reminded how our perseverance and determination are strong traits that we hold within ourselves. Let us tap into that reminder when life becomes really hard. My parting thought comes from the Dr. Seuss book, Oh, the Places You'll Go, which reads, "You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way." Let us remember that mountains take great, great effort to climb. But once you're on top, the view is absolutely incredible. It has been an incredible ride, my friends. And as Jenna Richardson's cap says, catch you on the flippity flip.
Thanks, Liz. That was beautiful. Well, now is our opportunity as faculty to welcome the students into the profession by giving them a pin and the ABCs. We talked earlier about Myrna Haga, Dr. Haga, and she had some words of wisdom for the field, so you'll get a copy of that as well. So what I'd like to do is invite the faculty up, and what we're going to do, this isn't the informal time of our presentation. Students will come up individually. If family members want to come over and take pictures, we'll stop and allow you the time for that. If you look in your program, all the students, Liz talked a little bit about field placements at the end of their time as students. The capstone of our program is where they actually apply what they've learned in the classroom in a field experience. And so when you see in your program where students were, I'll talk about their field placement, and then they wrote a research paper, and I'll say that as well. So. We're going to go ahead and get started, and then once you are awarded your pin and your announcement, then I'm going to have you shake hands and welcome. Our faculty is going to welcome you into the profession. So I'm going to start with Megan Braun, who did her field placement at Minnesota Coalition of Battered Women, and her research topic was Safe Harbor Sexually Exploited Youth, and I was her advisor and will be pinning her. Congratulations, Megan. Okay, the next student is Caleb Banger. I see it. I even wrote it down. Who did her? And I didn't look at it. That's what nerves do to you. She did her field placement at Lake Region Healthcare, Bridgeway Unit. Her research topic was rehospitalization after discharge from psychiatric facilities, and Barb Kramer is her advisor. All right. The next student is Jessica Boulard, and she did her field placement at Grand Forks Public Schools. Her research topic was transportation within the Grand Forks Public Schools, and Angie Muse is her advisor. Oh, right there. Yeah. All right. The next student is Gabrielle Cummings, who did her internship at PATH Grand Forks. And her research project was trauma-informed care and social work. Yiping Shea is her advisor, and Barb Kramer is going to be pinning her. Brenna Harwer is the next student. She did her internship at Valley Community Health Centers. Her research topic was medication-assisted treatment and social work, and I was her advisor. Our next student is Courtney Havland. She did her field placement at Grand Forks Juvenile Court, and she did her research project on juvenile drug court, and I was her advisor. All right, our next student is Lorraine Latextier, did her field placement at Red River Valley Community Action. Her research project was on barriers in serving the homeless population. Ken Flanagan is her advisor, but I will be pinning her. Our next student is Elizabeth Meyer. She did her internship at Drake Counseling Services and Northeast Human Service Center. Her research topic was the effectiveness of motivational interviewing in substance use disorder treatment. Yiping Shea is her advisor, but Angie Muse is going to be pinning her.
I want to cover her face up as I do this.
And you're both short. Our next student is Marat Deacom. He did his internship at Development Homes. His research project was Policy, a comparison between Africa and the United States. Ken Flanagan is his advisor, and Barb Kramer is going to be giving him his pin. There. Morales. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, our next student is Taylor Powers. She did her internship at Ruth Myers Adolescent Treatment Center. Her research topic is on impact of trauma in adolescence. Brett Weber is her advisor.
Thank you.
Our next student is Jenna Richardson. She did her internship at Grand Forks Housing Authority, LaGrave on First. Her research topic was the Envision Center Initiative in Grand Forks Evaluation, University Neighborhood Partnerships as Possible Model for Integration. Yiping Shea is her advisor, and Brett Weber is going to be giving her a pin. Our next student is Mila Rostad. She did her internship at Grand Forks Senior Center. Her research topic was Social Security helping seniors stay out of poverty, and Angie Muse is her advisor.
Oh, yeah.
Our next student isn't here with us. Her name is Kirsty Solberg. She did her internship at Malmo University, and her research topic was benefits of multicultural education in schools. Barb Kramer was her advisor. Darcy Solom was also unavailable to be here today, but she did her internship at Lutheran Social Services. Her research topic was barriers in health care for refugees, and Yiping Shea was her advisor. And last but certainly not least is Jenna Thurston. She did her internship at Cass County State's Attorney's Office. Her research topic was domestic violence and social work, and Barb Kramer is her advisor.
Make her stand there for a while.
All right. Couple closing comments. You usually stand or do you sit? Okay, go ahead and sit down. I'm new at this. I can only use that for like a time or two. I'll have the faculty sit down. That would be more respectful. For faculty, this is we call it our faculty payday, when we see our students entering into the profession after they've worked hard to obtain and to get to where you're at now. And so this is kind of our reward and welcoming to students in the profession. It's been an honor and a journey, or it's been a journey and an honor to be here with you students and to see you grow and learn. And I always am impressed when students come back from their field placements about how they're able to really connect all the dots. And so I do have a parting quote, and it's fitting because Liz talked about Dr. Seuss, and he's one of my favorites. And mine goes right along. I was like, oh no, she stole my quote. But it goes really well with Liz's quote of, you have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, you can steer yourself in any direction you choose. And so all these students have had me, and we've talked about being superheroes in social work. And so what I want you, now it's the time for you guys to go out, put on your capes, be those superheroes that I know you all be, and be change agents for the profession. Not only for the vulnerable and oppressed, but for all people. Before you leave, before I finish, I want to recognize Lonnie Moen and Brett Gerbhardt. No, I didn't say your name right either, but this wouldn't happen without the support of the two of them. All of you know Lonnie. She is our advisor in our department. I'm sure all of you have met her prior to getting in. So thank you, Brett and Lonnie, for all your support. What we'd like to do is take a group picture of the students up here, and I would like to thank you. I wish you safe travels and a wonderful break and holiday season. Graduation is at 1 at the Chester Fritz, and I think most of you will be there. Oh, I wasn't sure, and I had that circled, reception question mark. For all of you, when students are taking the photo, you can definitely stay and take a group photo, but we have some snacks, coffee, and water next door, so you can go next door and meet the graduate there. So thank you again, and congratulations. Okay, that was a little